Alexander John Wenderlich. Hannah Marie Woner. Victoria Elaine Woner. Ethan Perry Wright. Hanako Elizabeth.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll, master teachers, guests, if you'll return to your seats. We are honored to present to you Scottsdale Prep's second graduating class, the class of 2013. Please be seated. And to complete our evening, we have an exhortation. I'm very honored to invite one of the founding fathers of Great Hearts Academies, Dr. Dan Scoggin, to exhort you this evening and close our 2013 graduation ceremony. Dr. Scoggin.
Was a very inadequate cat throwing. I mean, it was really half-baked, and when you guys get outside, you really need to accelerate those hats into the air, those captioning. I apologize, but I'm going to exhort the graduates, so I'm going to scoot around and actually speak to them. So I apologize for turning my back to you, but you are the honorees of the evening, so I will turn here and offer these remarks. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Hewitt for your brilliant remarks tonight. And they were second, of course, to our valedictory and salutatorian addresses. Mr. Malkin and Ms. Woner, the beautiful, beautiful remarks tonight to the graduates. And that triad of remarks, I think, represented Great Hearts and Scottsdale Prep so very well. For your leadership this year, Dr. Bezanson, for your leadership and vision for the school. And we also have Ward Huseth from the Board of Directors and the Chief Financial Officer of Great Hearts here. Ward, thank you for your leadership. And most of all, faculty, thank you for your leadership of this great class of 2013. The Scottsdale Prep faculty is brilliant, and you represent true beauty and goodness and liberal arts in its full form as a community of scholars yourself. So thank you so much for your work. And these remarks to the graduates tonight are on your behalf. So, noble parents, as I've said too, thank you so much for being here. And this exhortation is the final word of encouragement, sort of the final word that we will offer you as a faculty. And then just in a moment, we'll really do that cat throwing right. do it appropriately. Don't put out any eyes with those angled edges. As it is, these last official words from Great Hearts and Scottsdale Prep. You are now peers and graduates to us faculty, but I want you to caution you to be careful with our first names. It takes us a little bit to get used to that. So Roy, of course, and Kirsten, though that's fine. And you can call Dr. Bezanson Bez, as you know. I call him Sir Rumpelmeister because sometimes his tie's a little bit askew, but that's part of his sort of intellectual look. It's kind of a St. John's thing. But please know that Headmaster Cheney goes as Headmaster Cheney. So, to be a little bit more serious, we teachers wish you peace. We wish you peace in your life. And of course, the word liberal comes from the Latin word liberalis, which means freedom. You've received an education for free men and women in a republic. But it's not freedom from, so you can do whatever you want. It's freedom for highest purpose, the highest purpose of humankind, to live well, that life is an art. And as a liberal artist, you are a master of the art of living. So we don't mean some vague utopian peace that will never come. We don't wish or promise something about world peace or an end to all suffering. Graduation addresses around the country that speak utopianism and that there's a perfect end. And we know that life is hard. That would be unrealistic and a false wish for you. As Mr. Hewitt said, there are hardships to come. And it's how you prepare and live now for those hardships that will define you as a man or woman living well. You know you live in a fallen world and suffering will come. It's part of the human condition. You will have hardships. And at some point in your life, as he mentioned, you might even be broken and forewarned. And I'm not going to get all depressing, so I'm going to get much more hopeful here in just a second. But I just wanted to set the stage with just some good negativity. One could say that the essence of being a good student or a learner, however, is to prepare yourself for what's going to come. We need to prepare for life. And I think that's what Scottsdale Prep has offered you. You've all been great students of life. You have hunkered down and fortified your souls for the exigencies of your destinies, engaging in works that very few teenagers engage today. You've taken the road less traveled by far. You have become moral philosophers and scientists of reality, discovering the truth of what is. You have lived the Socratic ideal that the unexamined life is not worth living. The teachers here have pushed you, and you have pushed them back to a more sincere, endurable life of the soul. And other teachers besides these have shaped you, from Plato, of course, to Dostoevsky, from Augustine and Shakespeare to Locke, and of course, our American founders. So we wish you peace, not from the hardships of life, but peace amid the naturally hard road of life. To this end, remember these three bulwarks of classical education, these keys to how the best of the Western tradition has sought and found peace. I'll be brief, but these are three, I think, important takeaways, of course. And you remember when I came and talked to you, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, about friendship. In the classical tradition, from Plato, Aristotle, and Cicero on down to our own time, it is clear that virtuous friendship is the greatest security we can have in this life. True friends are more valuable than material wealth. True friends are a mirror to our soul. Remember, Cicero said that. They push us to our highest self and are the greatest security and peace to our well-being when troubles come. Virtuous friends, seek them in college. Retain the ones, of course, you have now among your classmates. Virtuous friendship must be retained at all costs. Virtuous friends are a fortification that cannot be breached. I hope you have those throughout your life. And they are rare, and hold on to them at all costs. Secondly, you must not neglect the life of the mind. Amid an age that cares more about the body, the visual, media, and superficial material, remember that peace of mind can be found by continuing to study the great ideas of the West, the great ideas that look at the human spirit. That quote from Mr. Malkin, from Milton, about the inner self, protect it, guard it, because it will be your wellspring in times of crisis. The question of who am I is the ultimate question of the West, a question we must all answer. And it must not be answered in the vacuum of materialism, but through careful reflection, reading, debate, with virtuous friends, through prayer. Coming to know oneself and one's destiny is a high and sacred duty, a task of monumental difficulty, requiring courage and worthy of being called heroic. It's a search that never ends. That's why it's lifelong learning. You will be studying yourself so you can serve others your entire life. This is the drama of the intellectual life, the inner life. We must protect that life of the mind. We must spend our time on the highest things, Aristotle tells us, even though we may be able to grasp only a bit of them at a time, even though it takes all the way to our end. Thirdly, and lastly, you must seek to do good. You know that. Verum should lead to bonum. Divorcing truth from the good is like divorcing a parent from her child. While heroism begins in the life of the mind, it ends on the battlefield of action. Your destiny is to seek to do the good, relentlessly pursued and protected by truth. You graduates will not be slaves to ignorance, apathy, or vice, but will seek to engage the cause of the good when you can. And some of you might even find peace in sacrificing for others. This would be the perfection of virtue, to sacrifice for the benefit of a friend. Graduates, to close, siempre adelante, you Spartans. Go forward always, class of 2013. Go forward, great hearts, siempre adelante. Onward, always. Never give in, never quit, never surrender to the falseness of this age or false happiness. Hold out for the very best. Know yourself, and you are the hope of our age and our promise. And we, the faculty and friends of Scottsdale Prep, wish you peace and lasting and rich happiness beyond measure. Thank you.